Recently, there was a viral video of an alleged Bigfoot sighting in Colorado. Today, I spoke with a member of a Bigfoot organization here in the Sooner State about what kind of strange things have been reported in Oklahoma.
When people see things that are not supposed to exist, there's a shock factor that happens. Different people deal with it different ways. Some people shut down, but some people dig in. Some people get interested and they start looking for answers.
Oklahoma lawmaker facing backlash after opposing a Bigfoot hunting season.
Yeah, State Representative Justin Humphrey put out a $2 million bounty for anyone who can bring the big guy in alive and unharmed. He says the state has the 9th most sightings of Sasquatch in the world. He's working with the rest of the state legislature to put out maps for the best place to spot Bigfoot and hopes to make it the center of a new state tourism campaign.
Whitehead has a history of his own Sasquatch sightings to draw from. He started sitting down with people who had encounters of their own several years ago.
A lot of them like to actually have me do this, if just for their own sake, so they can have something to say, this is what I saw.
Clay, actually, just about 20 minutes ago, I watched as a police officer patrolled this parking lot, searching for whatever that animal could be. He was using his spotlight and everything. So far, 8 cars have been damaged. 1 was not on just last night. Bite marks, hair, and even some blood have all been found near the damaged cars at Green Country Ford in Veneta.
Some of them, it goes further, like that one over there where he just ripped the whole front clip off.
Police believe a white dog is to blame, but for John Stonebarger, that's hard to imagine.
If you've seen something like this on Facebook or anywhere else, would you believe that a dog did this?
I'm recording. Coleman, you'll have to double check. Do I look skinny?
Yeah, you look great.
Put me in that funhouse mirror. My name is Brian Terrell. I'm the founder of Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations. I guess you say my journey into Bigfoot and other cryptids it started when I was like 10, and just the little things just add up. By the time I was 30, I knew there was other things out there, but the main reason that I do this is because, I love it. I love being out in the woods. I love being out in the field. I love looking for tracks and trying to come up with evidence. To me, this is fun, but it's also a lot of work, because there's discipline that goes along with it. You don't always get to run off and play and have a good time. Sometimes, you got to realize that, the evidence is out there. You're just missing it. So you really kind of got to get more disciplined and spend more time actually doing the actual research, I also am real big on awareness, especially for the state of Oklahoma. I think that Oklahoma is greatly undervalued when it comes to cryptid activity. We've got a lot more going on in this state than what people realize, because you get up there in Washington State and Oregon and Northern California, the people up there are, not trying to sound derogatory, but they're a lot more likely to talk to you because they have a lot less animosity about, saying that you saw a Bigfoot or this, that, t'other. Around here, people won't talk to you hardly. They say that 1 out of 10 Bigfoot reports go unreported, or go reported. 9 out of 10 go. But I think in Oklahoma it's a lot higher than that because everybody is so conservative. People are worried about what their neighbors think about them, and so they're kind of scared that they're going to get, labeled, and ridiculed. So I started a page so that people could reach out. Started doing YouTube because people might want to see what we're doing. It brings more awareness to what we're actually doing. And I started a database of case files so that people can see some of the stuff that actually is going on in their area. But at the end of the day, I do it because I love it. It's fun. I love being out here.
Now, what could a documentary like this, focusing on Bigfoot activity in Oklahoma, what could be the possible ramifications of that? How could that push forward research in Oklahoma?
Well, for me, it's about awareness. When you sit down and you look at how many people actually really watch our videos and stuff, that's a really small demographic compared to what we would really like to hit. We would like, a lot of people to see what's going on down here and some of the evidence that we can produce. It's, to me, it's all about awareness, getting out there, letting people see what's going on out here because Oklahoma is kind of a well-kept secret, and it shouldn't be. Let's get out of here.
When you're ready, go for it.
Yeah, I'm Eric Schrader. I'm a cryptid investigator with Red Dirt Cryptids. Been with them for 3 years. What we're doing is trying to find evidence of cryptid activities in specific areas. Definitive, no BS, they are here evidence, and then go from there. We've been in some areas that produced no evidence whatsoever. We really haven't been back. Haven't heard any stories in that area since then. But some areas are pretty bountiful with evidence.
So Eric, with this documentary you're doing, with this project, what is something that you look forward to it? What do you hope we accomplish with a project like the one we're doing right now?
I hope we accomplish is long term we find that that area where other researchers or investigators can be taken over by the researchers, and they do the research. They monitor and study their behaviors, habits, movements, diet, etc.
Okay. I think that's good.
All right, I'm Alex. This is my first day out with the Red Dirt Cryptid crew. Kind of a skeptic, so we're trying to see if I can change my mind on that. But they've been good so far. We've been getting some good stuff, and hopefully we'll get some more.
So Alex, talk about what you're going to be doing for this project.
So for the most part, I'm doing the camera work, trying to help out, find good spots for recording and some background locations and whatnot. But for the most part, it's just the camera and carrying Coleman stuff around. So.
Yeah, thank you for that. And lastly, talk about your skepticism a little bit. What makes you skeptical? What are some things that you would like to see, hopefully, to maybe aid your skepticism or, make you a believer possibly?
No, I've never had an encounter. I'm very new to the cryptid world for the most part, and I've been kind of doing some research, and a lot of stuff doesn't really jump out to me as much as some other guys. But the main thing for me is always just seeing something firsthand is always going to be what changes my mind on things. But I'm very open to the idea of having my mind changed. So that's hopefully we get some good stuff.
My name is Coleman Atchley. A few years ago, I helped create a documentary about Bigfoot in Oklahoma. And ever since then, I've been obsessed with researching and studying cryptid phenomena, specifically in Oklahoma, with the guys at Red Dirt Cryptids. One of the things I'm really hoping to achieve with this project is to help establish Oklahoma as one of the most active states in regards to cryptid activity in Oklahoma, and documenting evidence, showing some of the better hotspots throughout the state, and pretty much everything that this state has to offer in regards to its Bigfoot activity.
Okay.
So Brian, while you're doing that, kind of explain what you're doing, why you're doing it.
Well, I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers, but I have done a lot of dumb stuff, and I've wasted a lot of money. Inside here is a 12-volt battery. I've got it hooked up so that it's waterproof. You can pop that open, slide this cord in there. I've even got a deal where you can plug this into your cigarette lighter and it'll tell you how fully charged it is. 14.2 volts. So this thing is maxed out on juice. Anyway, Harbor Freight box. Now, if you're going to run an auxiliary power source on one of these audio recorders, it helps if you have rechargeable batteries inside here. Okay, I've had problems getting it to work. You hook it up, power it on. Dry bag, Amazon, great. Paper towels, you always want some paper towels in there because sometimes it rains, sometimes it gets condensation. Come over here, keep it off the ground. Bada bing. I should have with a 64 gig card in there because it's hard to find an audio recorder that'll take one that's more than 64 gig. With 64 gig and this auxiliary battery source, I can get 98 hours of audio off of this thing. That's pretty good. Alright, coming. There's a rabbit right over there. Huh? You ready? You're missing it.
Huh?
You're missing it. There's squatches in there.
So what I'd like you guys to do is, like what Brian was just saying, if you could just talk about why you guys were here,
Right.
what you guys were doing out here, kind of the basic time frame, and just go from there and what happened.
Okay, it was about 10 years ago, was it November? Yeah, deer season. We were down here bow hunting in the cypress bottom, and I'd put him on a spot on this side, on the east side of it.
Yeah,
and I walked on down about a quarter mile to half a mile down, and I decided to come up on the flat. There's a flat down here, and I came up on that and was just slip hunting back toward him in the hopes of maybe if I seen a deer, I could push it toward him and maybe he'd have some luck. And when I got up on that flat, like I said, I was wearing my ghillie suit and was just, you know, getting 10 or 15 feet. I'd go up, get by a tree, sit there for about 15 minutes. And after about 20, 30 minutes, I realized when I looked up, I seen whatever it was watching me. And the sun was kind of like it is now. And it looked, to me, it looked more like orange, the way the sun was hitting. It wasn't brown, it wasn't black. I guess brown, but the way the sun was hitting, it really looked kind of like an orange color. It was probably about 7 feet tall, give or take. And once we realized that we had seen each other, it just it didn't turn around and walk off. It just walked kind of at an angle down the draw toward a slough. And I just kind of froze there by those trees. And I was waiting to hear something. I was like, there was no sound. So once it disappeared down the slough, I was thinking about going over and having a look, looking over that edge and see what it was. And then something just told me, hey, you need to get out of here. Like, just go. So that's when I took off in a dead run through the briars, hit a fence, did some flips through it, landed down in the cypress bottom, twisted my ankle up, and took off running toward home. Took off toward the truck.
So is there any details about it that really stuck out to you, whether it be how it was walking or just what you saw besides the color of the hair?
Right. Well, I mean, it was on 2 feet the whole time. I mean, and I've seen bears, killed a couple bears, and I know they can walk on 2 feet. But the way it walked off, it was more humanoid. I mean, it was a human shape. And what really got me was no sound at all. I mean, there was nothing. And even when it went down over the cypress break into the bottom, I didn't hear nothing because I figured, well, it's going to hit that water and I'll hear it walking through that slough. I heard nothing. So that's kind of really what spooked me, was being out here for 30 years and I've seen just about every animal there is, and this was something different. Absolutely.
So what was kind of your thoughts when you saw him running and everything? What was going through your head when all this was going down?
Well, I got tired of sitting down under a tree, so I got up and I walked to a big tree like that there, and I was just leaned up against it. Well, all of a sudden, Chad come running by me, and I couldn't understand what was wrong with him. I thought I didn't know if he was hurt or what, and this was the first time I'd ever been down in this bottom. So I really didn't know how to get out, but I just seen the way he went. So I just, in my mind, I thought, something's happened to this guy. I don't know if it was kind of warm that day, because we've seen snakes before, and I thought maybe he got snake bit. And so anyway, I hollered at him. He never did. He run by me. I could have reached out and slapped him in the face. And anyway, I come out of the bottom, and when I got to the truck, he had the tailgate down, and he was sitting on the tailgate smoking a cigarette, and he was shaking. And then that's when I started asking him questions about what was going on, and then he told me.
Well, I tried to explain to him what I'd seen. At first I thought maybe it was a person out there, or maybe a game warden, but then I was like, the only way in here is the way we came in, by vehicle. And if you're gonna come in down here, the only other road is a considerable distance. And being at that time of the morning, I was like, there's no way this is like somebody out here or a prank or something, Just the color of it, the size of it, I never did really see facial features. I mean, because the sun was hitting me in the face, so I really could kind of blurred like now. And like I said, when I took off and got to the truck, that was my whole thing in my mind. I was like, if I get to the truck, I'll be okay. But something just told me after about 30 or 40 seconds of sitting there after I seen it, my mind said, you need to get out of here. You really just need to go. So I took off as fast as I could. And then when I got back to the truck, I was explaining to him what happened. And he's like, well, I seen you run by. He said, I could have reached out and grabbed you. I never saw you. Never even saw him at all.
What I couldn't understand, it wasn't, if a game warden had been down here, he'd had his truck parked up here on the road. But it wasn't nobody but me and him that was down here. And then I got to thinking, well, he could have come up the river and parked his boat and come through the woods to check on us. But we never see a game.
No, we stayed at the truck for a while before we left.
Yeah.
And thought about walking back down here after he showed up at the truck. Well, I was going to come back and make sure that he was, because like I said, it was the first time he'd ever been down here.
Yeah.
And after I got to the truck and kind of got situated mentally, I was like, well, I need to go back and get Mr. Steve. And about the time I was getting ready to come back and look for him, he was walking back up to the truck. So that's when I started kind of explaining, what happened. And he believed me, but how do you take information like that? I just seen something out in the woods that, I've never seen before.
I kept asking him, well, are you sure what you're saying, because I didn't see it. But he, I believe what he told me. But I kept thinking it might have been a game warden that came down, the way he kind of described it. But when he started talking about being brown and reddish looking, The game warden don't have something like that.
Take a real close listen here.
My name's Jason McLean. I'm a author, illustrator, and biblical paranormal researcher. We research, Tex and I and some others research out of Brown Springs, a few other locations, but we've obviously had a lot of contact up there. A lot of stuff's come out of there. So yeah, that's one of the places we'd like to go. It's only like an hour and 40 minutes, 42 minutes, depending on traffic. You know, so it's a good place to go, get some good solid research done, and you know, it's not a 10-hour flight.
So Jason, I know I've talked to you a little bit about where my head is at right now, and why, you know, we're doing this in the first place. Working on this documentary, and it's been a while. It's probably been what, 4 years maybe, something like that, since, you know, we last saw each other at Brown Springs for the last documentary project that I did. And finally undertaking this new project with, you know, the guys at Red Dirt, and the, you know, the idea got sprung up, you know, why don't we return to Brown Springs? I've heard people kind of describe it as sort of like a Skinwalker Ranch type situation, where you have all different types of activity occurring there, not just cryptid, but, you know, I've heard UFO stuff and, you know, paranormal stuff, right? Could you talk a little bit about Brown Springs and some of the activity that's said to go on there, and maybe some of the activity that you've, you know, encountered firsthand, or people you know that have had experiences in that area?
So, yeah, it's a very, very weird place. We've definitely gotten, we've got daylight sightings of Bigfoot. We've also gotten some really interesting handprints and things out of there. But we also have very, very dramatic, clearly paranormal accounts. One evening, well, I won't go. We can go into the story a little bit later. But yeah, we've clearly paranormal events that are coming out of there. People seeing creatures and entities, multiple entities. You know, things jacking with electronic systems, cameras, whole 9 yards, right? And there is some stuff that definitely looks very, you know, quote unquote UFO. That unfortunately, that for me, it's so clearly tied to the paranormal that it's like, okay, it's one of those. It's literally one of those places I would point to and say, hey, if you think the UFO phenomenon is purely a bunch of aliens from, you know, Clondalkin hanging out, you know, with nothing better to do than going on a beer run, then this is definitely a place that you need to look at and realize that's not what's going on here. It's very, very paranormal. And again, the fact that there's this overlap between the cryptids and the paranormal bothers me a lot, but I think there's a reason, you know, before we go necessarily into the whole, you know, every cryptid is paranormal, there's a really solid reason for it to be both, right? It's right along the Red River, right? It's literally on the Red River. And Brown Springs specifically is a burial mound. right? When we first went out there, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Like they hadn't even, you know, the group I was with, they hadn't even really thought about it. I'm like, no, this is because there's a cemetery up the top, right? So you said, oh, it's a cemetery, and then Brown Springs is at the very, very bottom. It's very beautiful, lots of fresh water, which is why it's important, right? But I'm looking at the location, the distance from the Red River, and sort of the overall landscape. I'm like, this is an artificial burial mound. It very clearly was. And so there's a really, and literally, I'm not one to necessarily look at ley lines and say it's a thing, and yet it is literally the intersection of two ley lines. You look at a map, and there's one that runs right up 35, and I'm like, okay, I mean, it is what it is. But then there's this other one, it's like, and we looked like it intersects literally right there. So I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe not. But there's ample game. It's very, very green because it's right along the river. And it's a wildlife preserve area. So there's a good reason for for Bigfoot to move through the area and sort of stay there. Again, I would be a proponent of the idea that Bigfoot don't necessarily stay in one area, that they are not migratory, but rather that they roam very, very long and very large ranges, sort of like any other large primate does, right? Gorillas don't stay in one place; they move, and they just sort of, they have an area, right? But you could be talking about it for something as large as a Bigfoot. You could be talking about something that's 300, 400, 500 miles. And if it's just trying to stay away from people, because primates tend to not like to hang out with people for obvious reasons. We suck, right? Let's just be honest. But also, they're smart enough to say, okay, we can get close enough to get, to steal food when we need to, but we do kind of want to stay away. It's a perfect area to do that. You don't have to go very far before you just disappear. But it's very paranormal. And very early on, I was sort of the early proponent of saying, hey, not all of this stuff that we're seeing up here is Bigfoot. It can't be, right? If you're seeing, particularly Bigfoot, if you see Bigfoot every time you go somewhere or every time you're researching an area, that ain't Bigfoot, right? It just doesn't make any sense. You can't, every hunter I know, every deer hunter I know, they go out, they don't see a deer every time they hunt. Why would you see something like a Bigfoot? If it's there all the time, it's paranormal. And brother, that place is paranormal as all get out, right? Because it's got a bad history. It really does. I mean, let's forget about the fact that it's an Indian burial mound that has had some sketchy things happen to it. Dumping location for the DFW, for the Dallas area mob, right? It was a good place to kind of go and, again, dump bodies. It's right off the highway. It's a good place to kind of go and be alone and do bad things. One time we were out there, the game wardens came out or the local sheriffs came out because they thought, or they had accounts of witches up there sacrificing. So, yeah, it's a spooky place and spooky stuff happens. Again, one of the experiences I had out there, I was by myself. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, I don't spook easy. I'm not going to say that, right? But I was there. It was the day that the witches. I actually think I followed one in when the sheriff was like, "Hey, we're looking for these witches. We think we got reports of them out here killing chickens, right?" So I was doing my thing where I was staying at the base camp, had the fire going. I was trying to draw things in, making noise, partying, whatever. And I'm sitting there, and I suddenly have this. Again, it's not fear. I cannot tell you. The only way I can describe it is I wasn't afraid, but I knew my life was in danger. I was 100% certain my life was in danger. And again, not scared. And I know that sounds contradictory, but I swear to you, I was not scared, but I knew my life was in danger. I pulled my gun. I have excellent trigger discipline. I live by the rule, you never put your finger on the trigger unless you are ready to kill something. Brother, my finger was on the trigger because I knew I would probably have half a second. And when Tex and them pulled up way earlier than I was expecting, like that's why I was like, okay, I had the gun to my side. I was getting ready to just pull and start blasting because I figured something like this maybe it was like maybe that's what this is, right? Is whatever this truck is, this is the danger. And when I realized it was Tex, I'm like, what are you doing here so fast or so early? He's like, well, we talked to the sheriffs and all this. I'm like, okay, cool. We need to leave right now. And like I said, the sensation was not fear. It was a pure ontological certainty that my life was in mortal danger at that moment. There's enough weird things that have happened to us out there. I can, if you're within a mile of that, of the Brown Springs Cemetery, you are in a field and you are fair game.
I know you know about this, and I don't think I've ever really talked about it in a video or whatever, but I always kind of joke around that I went there to find Bigfoot and then end up having that really weird paranormal experience where I had the lady in white dream and everything like that, and I still think about that all the time.
So tell us a little bit about, this paranormal dream that you had after the last time you was out here.
Whenever we came here, like I was saying earlier, we didn't even investigate the cemetery. I was thinking about it when we were here going out there at nighttime, and but kind of chickened out a little bit. I didn't really have anyone I could go with, and I didn't want to be up there by myself. But we filmed the B-roll thing, and just got footage of the gravestones. We did an interview with Jason up there for that first documentary, talking about some of the activity that's said to going out there. Because it's not just ghost stuff. There's been cryptid type stuff, from my understanding. People have experience in that cemetery, and so we just filmed the interview, did B-roll. I went back home, and about a week later, and I had this really weird dream where there is this woman in white. She had like an old white dress, and I remember like the ruffles on the shoulders, or whatever you would call it, the kind of poofy, that you see in pictures of, like, the old dresses from back in the day. She had shoulder length dark hair that was either super like greasy or wet, because I just remember it looked very clumpy, her hair, and she had this white line starting from her forehead, like this very, very faint white line. It looked like old face paint, because I could almost see like the texture in it a little bit, but just this very faint white line going down the center of her face like that, down to her chin. And she was bent over, and I was seeing this all in third person. I could see me, I was like in the corner of my room at the time, and I could see myself laying down in the bed, and she's bent over talking to me, and I see her mouth moving, but I don't hear anything. I can't hear what she's saying, but she's bent over the bed talking to me while I'm sleeping. And I immediately wake up, and I hear my now ex-wife praying in her sleep at the same exact time I had this dream, or I woke up from this dream, and just thought to myself, that's really weird, because otherwise if I hadn't heard that, I would just chalk it up as a nightmare and I wouldn't think anything of it. But she was praying at the same time, and so I told myself I'll just go back to bed. I'll ask her about it in the morning. I don't want to wake her up and all that and freak her out. And so we woke up, and I asked her, did you dream anything last night? Did you have any dreams at all? And I didn't tell her about what I dreamed or anything. And she said, yeah. And I said, what did you dream? And she said that I had this dream that there was this lady in white with dark hair bent over the bed talking to you while you were sleeping. And I remember I talked to Jason about that same day. I started messaging him because I had to go to work. And he was telling me that happens sometimes, the kind of hitchhiker effect, and you hear about that in the cryptid world as well. But the lady in white stuff is associated with some of the Bigfoot hotspots, where places where there's Bigfoot activity there in Ape Canyon. And I didn't know that until you told me about that just recently, this year, when you told me that story about lady white sightings associated with Ape Canyon and everything. I had no idea. But I did some research sometime well after the fact, and there is stuff with lady in white sightings and same kind of thing, dark hair, white dress, and people seeing that type of stuff in Bigfoot hotspots, cryptid hotspots.
All right, so we're here at Brown Springs. Basically, we're going to go in here. We're going to be running audio recording equipment. We're going to be running cameras, of course. We're going to be checking with the radio frequency, magnetic interference. Eric's got his Geiger counter on. We're going to be filming everything. I'm looking for cryptids. I'm sure that Coleman's probably would like to see some paranormal activity showing up. We've got a little disagreement going on as to whether or not there's the ghosts or Bigfoot. So
We got the REM pod as well, if you want to point that out.
yeah, we do. We've got a REM pod. I'm not sure how that works, but we're going to learn a little bit tonight. So we've got everything that we need, and we're going to get to work. This trail's steeper than it looks.
Say this place is haunted.
Seems like I'm picking up some low-level stuff, but it's fluctuating. Well, it could be because the camera's close to it. I mean, it is. I'm sure that your camera puts off some type of radio frequency. So, hard call. But I guess we could say anything under 10 is probably normal. I'm just speculating. I'm not a ghost hunter. But my EMF is showing nothing, and my magnetic is showing, and I've been told by Ron Cross with Pros said that you really want to focus on your magnetic anomalies. So anything that's magnetic, and that's showing 0 right now. Okay.
So that will check temperature fluctuation. Let me get on video.
I'm videoing.
Hi. What's your name? Where are you from? Originally. Don't go away. Come back. Let's talk.
I think I was actually filming it when it went off.
I got it on video.
I definitely got it on video.
I'm going to pause recording. I'm going to get this recorder set up. I guess we'll record it.
And fleur. And and then that's it. It just freezes. It doesn't fully come up. By now I should be able to be viewing it with thermal,
That is odd. That's so odd.
These are the clothes we found. A pair of shoes right there on the gravestone. This was not out here earlier. We were
No.
during the day. So
Odd. Well, we just finished up in the Brown Springs Cemetery. We got some unusual stuff on the Panasonic recorder. I'm still not really sure what to make of that. I'm still on the fence. Yeah, the REM pod just went off. No, I'm not recording. But we've had some unusual stuff with the dog that was here going silent. It was barking for literally like 45 minutes, and then all of a sudden it went silent. We haven't heard from it in a while. Very odd. Kind of makes you wonder if there's a predator around. We also found some clothes just laid out. I mean, like some missing 411 stuff. But so far, I'm looking forward to trying to get the audio files off the Panasonic, maybe get them on Audacity, see if we can find. Now, I have heard a few things kind of bumping around, but that's not unusual for the woods. And kind of excited to get back down to camp because apparently they are having activity back down at camp. So ready to get my butt down there and figure that deal out. So
Let's do it.
all right.
All right, so we are here with Tex with Texas Front Porch. Tex, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for the audience, for anyone that may not be familiar with you?
Sure. My name is Tex Wesson, and I'm down here in right outside of Fort Worth, Texas, and been doing research, butts in the brush research, I guess, for about 10 years now. And I got my own podcast. We talk to researchers and we talk about our research. It's what we try to focus on. We're trying to figure out what we're dealing with out there, because there's a lot of different phenomena going on, and I don't think it's all one thing. I just really don't. I can't put it all in a Bigfoot box like everybody else and be comfortable with it.
So it's been a while, and so to kind of update you, I'm sure Jason probably told you a little bit about what's going on. I interviewed Jason already, but I've decided to once again tackle Brown Springs for this new documentary that I've been working on over the course of, late last year, I think is kind of when we started. We've been into some different areas this time, but I really wanted to return to Brown Springs because I felt like there's just so much with that area, and I felt like there's a lot that I didn't get to really tap into last time I was there. I kind of want to just tell you why I reached out and why I really wanted your opinions on this, because I know you researched Brown Springs. I know that's an area you and Jason have investigated a lot. I know there's you've had your cryptid stuff happen out there, paranormal stuff. So here's the scoop, and I just want to get your thoughts on it. And I don't know if you would be able to or not. I kind of want to play him the audio a little bit and kind of show him what we got. I just kind of want his immediate reaction, but I kind of want to play both sets of audio, and I just kind of want to give him the full rundown context wise and everything, because I just feel like that'd make it a lot more interesting rather than just me telling you, you know what I mean? So long story short, we were down there at Brown Springs at nighttime, and we did our thing. We brought a REM pod out there. We had some interesting REM pod activity for sure out there. Nothing crazy or anything like that happened. Nothing like, wow, we were, whatever. It wasn't anything extraordinary necessarily, but kind of like last time where it's like nothing really happens and I get back and then something happens. It's kind of like that. Came home and, it's been what do you think, Brian, like a month and a half or something like that, 2 months since we were down there, maybe. It's been a while. And
probably 2.
Yeah, 2 months. And I got started editing the nighttime investigation of Brown Springs. I've been working on editing the documentary, and I came upon this one clip, and it's when we're by the springs. It's me, Brian, our other guy Eric, and another guy that kind of researches with us a little bit. He was down there, and we were by the springs. We were kind of just filming. I know Brian was looking at his EMF meter. I'll play it for you, and I'll let you kind of.
Yeah. Okay.
Say this place is haunted.
Okay. Did you hear it?
All I heard was something about this place is haunted, but
Okay, so that's the EVP in question here. So I'm gonna
really,
play, yep. So I'm gonna play that again.
Say this place is haunted.
So what do you think it's saying?
it's either so this place is haunted or say this place is haunted.
Say
So I
this
think it's
place.
probably so this place is haunted is what I'm thinking it's saying.
Yeah, say this place is haunted is exactly what we heard, and we've been playing over and over. It's clear it's saying say this place is haunted is what it's saying.
Say this place is haunted.
Just now I'm going to give you full context rundown. So I already told you, we're by the springs, we're by the water. It was me, Brian, Eric, and another guy with us. He wanted to kind of remain anonymous, I think, so I'm trying to refrain from using his name, but he was out there with us. So we're walking around. There's that little bench out there by the water there that we're kind of. I put my REM pod up there, and I can even show you that later on. We do that in the video, and I probably will because there's something there I want to show you. But Brian, that's obviously him. I'm filming behind him. He's got a DJI mic. I don't know if you know what that is. It's just it's like a lapel mic. We
Yeah.
have, we wear those chest rigs out there,
Mhm.
the little plate carrier type thing, sorta. And he's got that on the front of his thing. It's a really high quality lapel mic that you turn it on, you plug the receiver into the camera, which just shows you like the audio. It's just showing you like the audio is connected is all it's doing. And it's taking that audio from his DJI and going straight into the camera onto the video. So that's why you can hear him breathing and stuff and walking and all that because it's capturing the audio really clearly. So I first heard that and I immediately thought, well, that's me because I thought, I just heard a voice. I didn't hear what it was saying, but I was like, that's interesting because I don't remember saying anything at that moment. So I took the clip and I isolated it. I'm like, what am I saying there? And I played it, and then that's where I hear it clearly say this place is haunted. That's it. And I go, well, that's weird because there's 20 seconds of silence. We're not talking to each other. It'd be one thing if we were sitting there interacting or having a conversation or something like that, but we weren't. I know I'm sitting there focused on filming Brian, making sure he's staying in focus on the camera because we're using lights out there. It's really easy for those cameras to get out of focus and blurry. And so I'm not worried about talking at that point. I'm worried on filming Brian. And Brian's obviously focused on walking, catching up with Brian, or excuse me, catching up with Eric and the other guy that was out there with us. So that's it. We're not conversating, we're not talking or whatever. So that's point number one, which makes it weird to me is why 20 seconds of silence, no one's talking or interacting, we're all just filming, we're all focused on investigating, we're listening, and then all of a sudden,
Say this place is haunted.
just out of the blue, someone saying, say this place is haunted. Second thing is, I wouldn't say, like, in that context, there's no reason why any of us would say that. There's no, you know what I mean? Like, I would never tell Brian or anybody just randomly say this place is haunted.
Yeah, it's either I'm still on the fence whether it's say or so.
Or so this place is
Um,
haunted.
yeah, because so this place is haunted makes more sense to me.
Hmm.
Okay, because now, but that's neither here nor there really making sense. I mean, we that very well could have been only part of what it was trying, whatever this was trying to say. It could have been trying to say, they say this place is haunted, and
Right.
you only caught say this place is haunted. It could have been saying, so this place is haunted, telling you, so this place is haunted.
Right.
So there's a few options there, but I think we're honestly, if we're going that route, we're splitting hairs at this point. The main focus is here that you've got a class A, beyond class A,
Yeah.
freaking, EVP, in a place that is known for EVPs. So, and the fact that y'all didn't react to it, and having experiences I've had over there, that I never reacted to the stuff that was said to me. So,
Right.
but it's definitely a male. It's definitely a male from what I heard.
Tex, you brought up a good point. Is it could be saying those things. So this was because to be honest with you, I probably as weird as I thought it was, I wasn't going to include it because I didn't, you know what I mean? It was just like, well, I'm confident that's not anyone of us and it doesn't make sense, but I probably wasn't going to include it in the documentary. I was kind of at that point where like, I don't know. But Brian found this. So for context for this makes it a lot more interesting. So that was that audio we just played from you played for you. That was the beginning part of our nighttime investigation there.
Okay.
About 30 minutes, an hour later, somewhere around there, the investigation, there was some drama going on back at campsite with some sketchy dudes. And so a couple of our guys, we had a female, we had a woman with us. And so Eric and the other guy left to go, make sure she was okay. And Brian and I stayed back. We're doing a EVP session. We're doing a Bigfoot documentary, but we're here at the cemetery and we're kind of trying to explore like the paranormal, like possible connections there with some of this cryptid stuff. And so it's like, and we had a Panasonic digital recorder, which, that's like the gold mine when it comes to like getting good EVPs from, what I've seen and heard from other researchers. And so we had to take advantage of that. So it's like, we're using this for sure. So we were doing like a little EVP session out there on the Panasonic recorder. And but the audio, to my understanding, that we're about to play you doesn't come from that Panasonic. Brian had another audio recorder on his rig going at the same time. And what you're going to hear is my voice. It's me talking. And again, so this is for context. This is the EVP happened at the beginning of the investigation, and then what you're about to hear took place near the end. And it's gonna. I'll let you listen to it. And when Brian pointed this out to me, it really freaked me out because it makes it, in my opinion, it takes it away from just being a Class A EVP, which it is 100%. I mean, it's got vocal tone, it's got all the characteristics of what makes a Class A EVP a Class A EVP. I mean, but so it's clear it's good, but this makes it interesting because of the implications. And I'll let you be the judge of it. I just want to get your thoughts.
Okay.
We're at the cemetery. I was here a few years ago now, and a lot of people say this place is haunted. Sorry, I don't know really how to go about this. A lot of people say that there's spirits here, or whatever it is. We have this.
So somehow, less than an hour later, Coleman ended up regurgitating what this thing said in a way. And you notice that when he said, some people say, and he hesitated on say, like, almost like, oh, wait a minute, I'm supposed to say something or something.
Right.
I don't know. Right. Very strange.
That was what made this is what made me to like, I mean, I was already going to interview you, Tex. I know just because of your research out there, but that was like, I got to get Tex. Because like I said, I know Texas research. I got to see his thoughts on this and if he's kind of anything similar. Because to me, that's what makes this. I mean, because like I said, beginning part of the investigation, we're capturing this EVP saying, say this place is haunted. And then maybe an hour later, if that, we're doing an EVP session. And I don't remember feeling weird or like I didn't like something. I felt like I needed to say this or anything like that. I just was out there and I didn't know really how to start the EVP session off, even though I've done that before. And I just, and so I'm kind of making connections now in retrospect. Like that is kind of weird because I was like, well, what do I say? And that's just what came to my mind was a lot of people say this place is haunted.
Say this place is haunted.
Yeah.
And so that's the part that freaks me out. Is it like, is it getting me to say it and then I said it? You know what I mean? Like it's just even though I didn't hear it, like is it like a subliminal subconscious thing? Like I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we could be dealing with either one. I mean, we could do it just pure coincidence. We could be dealing with, some kind of influence. That's just it. We don't know. Okay. I will say this. We had something happen up there when we were up there one time. And we were using Abacus, what do you call it? Ghost box. So I don't know. But and there was 3 of us together and there was 5 of us total up there. And the other 2 were off doing they were doing their own thing about 20, 30 yards away from us. And there was me and 2 women. It was a paranormal team in there. It's a mother and daughter team. And when we walked away, I started feeling something that I'd never felt before. Is my arms got like, after you do, you do a good workout, you're flushed, and you kind of, your arms are kind of like, you kind of feel that, still pulling down on you a
like
little
a
bit,
pump kind of.
yeah. And I started feeling that. I'm like, what's going on? And they were very, very seasoned paranormal researchers, and the daughter is very empathic. Okay, and she says there's something trying to attach itself to you, and me being me, I just, well, get off me like that, and it went away. Okay, so we continue on walking through the cemetery, and the ghost box pops up, and it says Solo Beast Grace. Okay, it's only 3 words we got. So we're standing there, and I'm like, wait a minute. And after we put it all together, her husband was parked down at the bottom by my truck, okay, in his truck. Earlier in the evening, back at camp, one of the other guys had called him a beast. He said, "Man, your husband's a beast," because he's a big fella. He makes me look small. And so he's parked down there by himself. Okay, that's Solo. Beast, that was referred to back in camp. Now, the kicker, they said Grace. Grace is the name of my truck. I named her after Albert Fish's last victim that I believe reached out beyond the grave and got him caught because he'd done something that he'd never done before. And that's what got him caught. And that was, when does it stop being a coincidence? The stuff that we run into. That's what I think we really need to ask ourselves this, because can this stuff influence us? And we know it can, right? So did you pick that up earlier on a subconscious level? I think that's probably what we're dealing with more than anything in this circumstance.
Well, and look at this here. Look at this. Just shows you it's different. These are normal vocals. Human vocals will like resonate at different levels, all the way down from, just right around 300, 275, all the way up. And it goes off the scale because I got the cutoff on 1900. This one here is fluctuating between, I don't know, 200, 225, and 400. It's not multi-layered. It looks different.
And that's the EVP?
This is the EVP, yeah. That's the EVP.
So this place is haunted.
Okay, that's interesting.
And then I can mute that one, and I can power this one up.
Now, and a lot of people say this place is haunted.
I can create like little video clips with them side by side so that people can see that it's showing up on the spectrogram different between the EVP and that. As a matter of fact, now that you got me thinking about it, let's just go ahead and let's give it all a listen.
So this place is haunted.
Yeah.
Here. Now we know for a fact that we have Bigfoot footprints possibly over here, bare minimum human. I think that I don't think. Are you recording? Yeah. Oh, I don't think that I think they're less likely to be a hunter because they appear to be small groups of footprints, like multiples. And also, I didn't tell you, we also found a structure over here. So, and it's very similar to the one over here. Okay. And I got video footage of Eric crawling inside it. So, game plan, we need to go over there and get those. I say that once we go over here, we examine these footprints, we cut across the field, we inspect that old one, that old one that we found, what, 2 years ago or more? Yeah. And then we work our way back over to here. If we have time, and we need to discuss how late we're going to try to stay up, and last night, I kept thinking to myself, this is really stupid, you're alone. Bow hunter. It's a trigger. There were several sets of tracks crossing this field. So this is obviously deer hair, right? Yeah. I think we're gonna go ahead and take a sample just so that we can have a sample of deer hair on record for comparison purposes, just for being thorough. So we're gonna go ahead and take a little sample. I'm not worried about contaminating it. But, yeah, that's definitely deer hair. And it does look similar to that, but we'll compare it to the other sample that we took earlier today. So, anyway, you still recording? Yeah. Well, go ahead and turn it off and you can help me get my sample pack out.
Yeah, well, I can point out myself or something. I don't know, as long as it's not giving weird. How's it look?
Okay.
Does it look okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're talking about what just happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me that.
Yeah, you can point at me. Okay. Okay.
So walk us through what just happened.
Okay, so we're getting ready for our night walk, and I was out on the road here at our location, honestly just trying to stay warm, pretty cold, hands are cold, feet are cold, just trying to walk around, stay warm, messing around with my EMF, just testing it, seeing if I get anything. And I got a little further down the road, I was looking that direction, just kind of looking off in the distance, looking in the tree line, and I just had this feeling to look to my left further down the road, and on the left side of the road, kind of near the ditch, I just see kind of this dark spot there, and I'm thinking that's kind of weird, and I just kind of watched it for maybe about 8 seconds, and it looked like to me this dark silhouette outline kind of turned and stepped like a person to where I could even see like kind of the light and the spacing between the legs when it took its step, and that freaked me out. And as soon as that happened, I turned back, I got Brian, and here we are. So I wasn't recording or anything. We were just getting ready, like I said, for our nighttime expedition, and this happened. So
it was just cold.
Cold.
I was out moving around too because it's ridiculous, but
it's freezing out here. It's very cold. Like I said, I'm just trying to move around, stay warm, and I saw that and that.
Well, we both came over here. We scanned everything with the thermals, and all we found was some fresh scat in the road.
So,
which apparently who knows? Maybe it slipped in and crapped behind us.
Maybe.
But you can kind of see. I don't know if you can see in this camera how deeply wooded all this is. I don't know. It's really dark. It's really dark, but it's really light because the moon is out.
Yeah.
So, thank goodness for the moon. So, how tall was it?
It's hard to say because I couldn't really gauge how even far away it was. I mean, it was a good distance away from me. I mean, I would say taller than you, probably. Not by much. It wasn't huge or anything like that, but it just looked like a dark shadow.
Sound?
No sound.
Which way did it go?
This way. It took a step, looks like over the ditch, and it walked into there. Into this side of the woods here.
Same side Will's creature went into.
Yeah, and I swear on everything, I know it means nothing because I'm on camera talking about it, and you can just say whatever. My mind was nowhere even thinking that, of trying to see if I was going to see something or whatever. I was just, like I said, just walking around, not even that far from where we're camped out right now, and I saw that, and I just knew I needed to get Brian and Eric and let them know.
Yeah.
And
sitting sucks right now because it's so cold.
Yeah. So that's what happened. That's kind of freaking me out a little bit. So.
All right.
Oh man.
What happened?
I saw something.
Okay, we are recording.
Okay, hey. Sorry to bug you last minute. So I was going through some of our audio files from the February camp out. I honestly, I don't know what to make of this. This is very, very, very strange. I don't want to pre-program you. I just want you to listen, and I want to get your opinion on what you think this is. I probably need to go through and clean it up, but take a listen to this. Let me share my screen. See if I can figure out how to do this here. Screen one, screen share. Did that work?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay. So check this out. Right here, you can see where my thing is. This is us. You remember when you saw that thing cross the road out there at CC?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. We were on the road right there, and there was something right there with us. I know this is going to sound crazy, but that's all I'm going to tell you. You just listen. You just listen.
looked at it, and in my head I was like, how could we just miss that now? So I just kind of watched it, and I swear to you.
But these three things, I mean, we're coming in pretty loud, you know, because that recorder was what, 25 feet off the road that we were walking on?
Yeah, it was literally right by us when we were talking.
Whatever this was right by the audio recorder again. It was camped out right there again by the audio recorder. This is becoming normal for them to come in and hang out by the audio recorders. It almost, and I know this, I mean, it sounds like a dude.
That's a full-on whisper. That's not us. You can hear us talking in the background clearly, and you can almost hear like the echo in our voices when we're speaking to each other. You can hear my voice, you can hear what sounds like your voice very clearly. That whisper is literally directly next to the recorder, it sounds like. I mean, it sounds like it's someone literally right there whispering by the recorder, which means it's, oh my gosh, that's creeping me out. I
Okay,
mean,
now check this out, right?
yeah.
So if you look at the two different sides of this audio recorder here, you know, it's a stereo dual microphone setup. This side here is apparently closer to the campsite than this side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can see that it's more intense on this microphone than it is on this microphone. I know this is going to sound crazy, but whatever this is, it's in between the microphone and our camp.
And this is right after I had seen the figure moving, right?
Right. This you can hear us. This is us over there talking over by my car
Okay.
about what you saw and what you encountered. And later on in the audio, it gets louder as we walk right by this thing. We walked within like 25, 35 feet
That
of
means it's
whatever.
literally sitting there watching us as we're talking about it. That means,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
So
'Cause
we thought that you'd
walked
seen it
away.
and
Yeah.
it ran away.
Right.
It didn't. It closed the distance between us or the camp and it. I mean, it literally, instead of running away like we assumed it would do, it actually came in closer. It's that freaking confident. I'm going to have to go through, I'm going to have to try to clean up this audio. I'm going to have to boost it. It sounds like words, but it doesn't sound like English.
You can hear the in the beginning, it's like a clear
Yeah.
like an exhale.
Well, and what if that's like them saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
hey," trying to get the other one's attention.
Good.
And
It's like yeah.
it's like, "Hey, they're coming this way," and then finally it's like, you know, it's like, okay, I get it, you know.
Yeah.
So there was two of them, and apparently there was one by the audio recorder, and there was one on the other side of the road. Apparently, you walking up the road made it uncomfortable, and so it crossed over to where the other one was at.
So there's more than one, you
There was
think?
two. There was at least two. I mean, think about this. Think about this.
Yeah.
If there's only one of them, why would it need to vocalize at all?
Right.
That means there's at least two of them.
It's talking, yeah. That's insane, Brian.
I've got like 7 hours more of audio to go through now.
That's actually insane.
No, they were literally right there with us. How in the hell did we not pick them up on thermal?
How do we not hear him? All that debris and stuff, all the stuff on the ground, all the leaves, all the branches, like all that.
So far, I have not picked up any movement sounds whatsoever. However, I do have some audio strikes, some of those audio recorder strikes where they're throwing stuff at the audio recorder.
outside there. I can't really tell you distance, but it's just dark something. I just looked at it, and in my head I was like, how could what is this right now? So I just kind of watched it, and I swear to you.
All right, everybody. So I know on the latter half of this documentary, we've been kind of doing a lot of Zoom calls, which we, kind of apologize for, but we're in different states. Eric's in Kansas, Brian is obviously, northwestern part of the state. I'm where I'm at. So we're going to have to utilize a lot of these Zoom calls when we're talking about evidence and things like that. But for right now, what we're focusing on kind of reached that point of the documentary where I think we're ready to conclude things. What are your thoughts? I know you talked about in the beginning portion of the documentary, you kind of talked about wanting to learn more just in general about these creatures, their patterns, where they're at, where they're located, and just the more research side of it. But what are your thoughts since going on these expeditions to southeast Oklahoma, our other areas that we research while filming? What are your thoughts? Have your viewpoints changed at all? Are they the same? Do you think we kind of completed what we were looking for with this documentary? Just give me anything you'd like to say. Just share your viewpoints.
Well, one thing I know is if you get a report from an area, you can start reviewing topographical charts, maps, waterways, ponds, lakes, etc. And we could look at those and determine areas where they could be secure during the daytime. They have access to the waterways, which many people believe are their highways. It's quick access up and down. And in doing so, we found some good areas with some results with call blast, with their calling out, their whooping, tree knocks, etc. And then we even found unusually trees pushed over unusually in an unusual manner, all in the same direction that contradicts how they should be falling when the wind blows. Or it was something's out there. It's you just got to take it slow and figure out where they anticipate, their actions, their behaviors, and where you could find them.
Well, you're right about the whispers. That changed a lot for me whenever we first started in on this, and we went to we first decided that we were going to do a documentary showcasing Oklahoma and our tactics and the things that we do. I think at that point in the game, I was at a pretty comfortable place where I thought that everything was flesh and blood, and nothing could not be explained by just simple technology that we just didn't understand yet. And that's kind of changed a little bit. Now, I'm not ready to jump on the paranormal bandwagon yet. I'm very reluctant to do that, partially because of my background and partially because of my viewpoints for so many years. But we've experienced a lot of weird stuff, and throughout this entire documentary, from the Brown Springs thing, that was really weird. We no more than got there and we started having some activity. I think I pulled up to the location and something threw a rock, and that was weird, and all the mechanical issues, even though I screwed up on a lot of audio, sets, we still learned a lot. We've learned that these things will come in and they will hang out by audio recorders. We've learned that they get fidgety and they will throw things at our audio recorders, not just once or twice, but 30, 40, 50 times in one night while while they're keeping an eye on us. Now we have a name for it. We call it recorder strikes. And we've also learned that apparently they can whisper. I don't know if anybody has ever recorded, a potential Bigfoot whisper ever before, but, as strange and foreign as it sounds, that's really, I'm fairly confident that that's what happened. And I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with them being, that close to being human, you know. Um, I mean, it sounded like a dude talking, and but just not in English. I don't know. And then there was the stuff that happened down south of Idabel, and my mind is still trying to process that. And it's just there's so many things, so many factors. We've encountered more woo stuff, paranormal stuff in the last year and a half, really, since we started this project than ever before. I'm not ready to jump on the paranormal bandwagon, but my eyes are open now, and I realize that there's a lot of things, going on, and I don't know. I think I'm a more open-minded investigator now, but I still want to see the evidence. Where is that evidence? And that audio stuff, especially stumbling on the whispers, I almost didn't. I almost didn't review that. You know, I almost didn't. I basically was listening to you tell your story again on the audio recorder because I could hear it. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and listen to a story again. And that's when I heard it. So these things they don't have a problem coming in close to camp. Not at all.
Future projects, where do you want to see, with what we learned doing this documentary, on the filming side of things, on the research side of things, what are your hopes for the future of Red Dirt?
Like I said, we figured out how to find them. We have a pretty good idea how to find them. And if we get close enough and camp in that area, I think the future is figuring out what brings them in, how to bring them in, lure, for lack of a better term, lure them in, attract them in to your camp or to a certain area, and so we could set up traps so we get some good imprints, figure out how to collect their hair samples, maybe DNA of some sort, get them to cross over in front of cameras. We're using non-infrared time-lapse cameras. You just take it step by step. If you can lure them in, we don't have to trudge through the forests to find the evidence we so desperately seek.
Well, I will kind of jump on your bandwagon there just a little bit. I want to mention that, as true researchers that are utilizing like a scientific approach to it, it's not really our job. It's not really our job to decide what's legitimate and what's not. It's keeping that open mind, going where the evidence takes you, and drawing your conclusions from that. It's really counterproductive for us to come into the research with our preconceived notions and biases. We need to keep an open mind, and we should try to do that. Although that's tough. It's really tough, because deep down we've all got something in the back of our mind. It's like, this is what we want Sasquatch to be, and so we tend to levitate towards evidence that boosts that particular hypothesis. So, but as far as where Red Dirt is going in the future, Eric and I were, we just got back from Beachfoot, and we did a lot of traveling. We put a lot of miles on, and we've done a lot of talking. We had a lot of time to talk, and I'm thinking that we need to, a couple times a year, go out and get out of state and go on some longer trips and go on some bigger adventures, that take a lot more planning than, hey, the weather's going to be nice this weekend. You want to go out to Area 3 or Area 7, I think that it's time for us to start branching out and going to some bigger places. But I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but what you said is true. The truth is, we can go out and we can put ourselves in an environment this weekend with Bigfoot. That's pretty bold talk, but it's true. And I firmly believe that the Bigfoot stuff is it easily falls in our lap. We get reports coming in, we talk to people. A lot of people out there are having encounters. I feel like the Bigfoot stuff just starts falling in our lap without any work. And it's going to be there. I'm not saying that I think that we need to, you quit doing Bigfoot research. Bigfoot research is always going to be our main staple. But to be honest with you, ever since we went down to interview that guy down in southeastern Oklahoma, I've had one thing on my mind. And ever since seeing that print, I don't know. I think it's time for us to focus on dogmen.